Thanks very much for the kind introduction. So today, what Keith and I would like to do is to give you an overview of what the Aotearoa New Zealand Interoperability Lab is, what our objectives are, and we've been discussing this for several months. And ANZIL is Aotearoa's New Zealand's contribution to the Asia eHealth Information Network community of interoperability labs, COIL. So that's, I think, the people that we have here. And what we're doing with this interoperability lab is bringing together a whole range of diverse perspectives. So amongst other things, also from the perspective of the work that we're involved in, it's very important to us to involve and invite local community representatives with lived experience. So whilst the Interoperability Lab is, of course, about interoperability of health information, we think it will be extremely beneficial to have representatives from marginalized communities and indigenous communities participate in the lab. And we, unfortunately today, I think Gloria Johns, one of our collaborators with lived experience in Maori communities, couldn't attend, so she's got a viral infection at the moment, but she'll participate on a regular basis. We are inviting Maori health service providers, primary health organizations, the new Maori Health Authority and Health New Zealand, and health IT solution vendors to join the lab, use its capabilities, in particular in relation to reliable exchange of essential information relating to public health. So, how are we starting? Our initial focus is on interoperability based on HL7 FHIR standards, which I think you'll be familiar with, and also on the International Patient Summary, or IPS, and supporting terminology services, including SNOMED and others. So in terms of the services that we envisage and the things that we would like to catalyze via the lab, we've got the following lined up. So access to services and expertise from all the members. So that involves the capability for online Q&A and discussion. So we'll set up an online workspace for this. We'll have monthly online meetings to share experiences. We envisage a quarterly newsletter and access to educational material shared between members. Importantly, and I think that's what we'd like to also explore with everyone here today, is access to COIL experiences in Asia, because I think we're all working on related topics, and there's so much that we can learn from each other. We'll also host a yearly open space creative collaboration event. So that's going to be relevant in terms of seeing how we're going and setting the strategic direction and gaining access to new ideas and, as needed, adapting our trajectory of travel. And of course, all participating member organizations we invite them to set up further workshops, sponsor events, and make them available to other members. This yearly event that we're intending to run on creative collaboration. Just to explain what this is the core service that S23M offers. It's like our baseline service, which assists organization to deal with wicked problems. And so this is a creative, collaborative approach that is the opposite of a rigid process. So it's really a space for creative freedom. It's intended to unlock valuable tacit knowledge within a group, releasing the handbrake to collaboration and visibly extending trust to all participants. We've actually even used it to repair frayed relationships between parties participating, and it replaces fear with courage. So it's related, of course, to this notion of psychological safety, which is already recognized as an important aspect in relation to the topic of safety at work. But this ability to talk about mistakes and risks and to disagree as needed is critical for minimizing accidents. And at the same time, it can assist organizations, in our experience, in improving collaboration and in recognizing potential opportunities for deep innovation. In terms of the membership structure, we've tried to keep it simple. So we are funded via sponsor organizations, then institutional members need to pay some fees to participate, which we've tried to keep as reasonable as possible. And then we invite individual professional members, and we strive for a very broad and diverse membership structure. So what we mean by sponsors is organizations that contribute significant infrastructure and expertise or funding for such infrastructure and expertise. So in New Zealand dollars, that's $2,000 per annum upwards. It's all up to the sponsors. Then the normal organizational or institutional members, so those would be users of the services and that infrastructure and expertise. So this could be health IT software vendors and healthcare service delivery organizations. There, the fees vary between 200 and 1,000 New Zealand dollars per annum, depending on the number of staff. Professional members, because we want to invite as many of them as possible, so that is possible for $50 per year. And importantly, in order to really get as much lived experience into these workshops, we don't charge our guests any fees. So that means people with lived experience from marginalized communities with perhaps unmet healthcare needs are able to contribute, and we'll invite people from these communities on a regular basis to the work that we're doing. So that creates, I think, interesting opportunities for interactions and important knowledge sharing. So this is here for organizations that in New Zealand that might be interested in joining with the structure. So where are we at currently? So we've spoken to a number of organizations in New Zealand. So we've got a number of organizations and people that are the founding members. So there is Peter Jordan with the support by HL7 in New Zealand. He's kindly offered to make available access to terminology, directory, and performance servers. Then it's us, basically, S23M, and Keith is our key expert in relation to this topic of health informatics and interoperability standards. So we are one of the sponsors. We facilitate the meetings and workshops, and we strive to collaborate with all of you regarding sharing expertise throughout Asia and the Pacific. Then we've got MedTech Global. is interested as well in sponsoring. Details still need to be confirmed, but they've got an IPS testbed infrastructure that they've also kindly offered to make available. Then we've got Cure8. So this is a fairly new organization, an interesting startup. Matthew Valentine, he's confirmed interest as part of the launch. Then we've got Clan William Health, another vendor, so they'll join upon the official launch as well. And importantly, the Ministry of Health has confirmed the keen interest. They haven't yet officially signed up, but they're watching this with keen interest and are a prospective member. So we are ready to go. And the Ministry of Health can benefit from all these initiatives in a number of ways. I mean, access to all the expertise and capacity from member organizations. It's, I think, a good vehicle also for soliciting further contributions to peer review local standards. Co-design of standards with Maori health providers. I think this may turn out to be important because here in New Zealand, we've got the Treaty of Waitangi, and meeting treaty obligations is very important here in this country. Validation of standards against local community needs. So this is where we want to make sure that whatever we're doing with ANZIL not only meets the technical standards, but actually meets real needs, meets the needs out there in the field of the communities that depend on healthcare services. And I guess that also explains why we're interested in education and knowledge exchange and access to all the experiences that are being made in Asia. And so that's where we would really like to hear from everyone who is participating here, what your COIL experiences have been to date, what kind of services you offer, and what the main benefits are in running interoperability labs in your geography. So we're keen to learn, and we would, if there's ways in which we can incorporate the work that you're doing in a beneficial way into what we've just outlined, we're really keen to learn about that. And so if we get that kind of input and feedback, it can flow into our yearly open space creative collaboration event, where we'll then use that to explore trends and inform the strategic direction. So I think we're looking at hosting this first yearly event sometime in the next 2-3 months. So I think we're looking at sometime in April. Between now and then, would be good to learn as much as possible as we can from COIL in Asia. We'll facilitate workshops and other events sponsored by the ministry and or HL7, so we can do this on top of the regular schedule. And of course, the ministry can be assisted in terms of adoption of valuable standards, because we've got, I think, a lot of expertise lined up via the initial member organizations already, and we anticipate that as we go, there will be more organizations joining. Here we see the timeline. So we're going to set up a dedicated website and an online workspace in next month. So by end of February, this will be in place. Also, the inaugural meeting will take place in the last week of February, likely. And as I mentioned, the open space event is scheduled for or envisaged for April. And we'll keep you posted on further developments. Now, just to perhaps summarize where we're coming from, how this all originated. So we've been talking to AeHIN and Alvin for a while, and he made this possible. So many thanks again to AeHIN and Alvin. And it relates to the work that we've been involved in, so in constructing what we call the CARE platform. So this is our set of reusable data assets and functionality for healthcare organizations, primarily with the focus on patient journey management. And you see that we offer interoperability there with out of the box with OpenMRS, so we're still working on that, and then also with popular productivity tools and administration tools like SIL for accounting, then there's Google tool, all the familiar Google tools and Dropbox and so forth. So I've got, I think, a couple of slides here just to remind or to introduce, give a rough idea as to what this CARE platform is, because I mean we've talked about this at AeHIN before, but just for those who haven't seen our presentations there. So we've got this CARE platform pre-configured with national and regional structures. So all the regions in New Zealand. So we are starting obviously with New Zealand, but as you can imagine, this platform is designed for global use. So all the New Zealand reusable data assets are just one aspect, and we intend to make good use of this platform. Well, certainly in Asia and beyond. In order for this configurability to be flexible enough, we even have things like different region categories, which allows us to be, well, to accurately, with high fidelity, reflect how healthcare is organized in different geographies. The whole thing is, of course, multilingual, and we support various formal terminologies also in different languages. And this is where, of course, the health informatics interoperability standards come into play. A unique feature of our CARE platform is the architecture in terms of data management. So this distributed approach where we enable different data governance policies, that's all configurable. It's not hardwired because different geographies and different jurisdictions have very different rules around which organizations are allowed to retain and manage health information for different periods of time. And we've got the flexibility to model these things so this we can adapt to different jurisdictions without any coding effort. From a patient perspective, this also means that we give, as if that's compatible with the local regulations, we give patients full access to their health information and enable them to control who's got access to that information. And that's as much as I wanted to say. This CARE platform, well, we all have a modeling background, so both Keith and I and the others in our team. So we've specified it, of course, in terms of formal models. And I think here I can hand over to Keith to continue.
Okay, thank you, Johan. I think I can be heard. My little microphone, there we go. My little microphone icon is showing green. So this slide just shows three small models which are at very different levels of abstraction about how we create the specifications for creating the CARE platform and involves things at multiple levels of configuration and instantiation, so that we can fix some structures and make others then configurable by the users of the platform, and then dynamically adjust. So on this slide, I just chose 3 examples from the formal specification of the CARE platform, and it's too small really to read, but there's some things about high-level roles and responsibilities in the platform, and then there's some modeling of staff and their roles and responsibilities in organizations. And then right on the right-hand side, you can see that there's a little piece of fire resource specification there about some part of the condition resource that's embedded in every international patient summary. And so we have a native representation of the fire international patient summary inside the platform, which can then be populated with native fire concepts in the case where we don't have an internal concept, or we can map it to one of these concepts in the CARE platform, which is already there and configured. So my background, as I think was mentioned in the introduction, has to do with modeling and code generation, but whether one codes things or has a code generator, it's more important that the people who are designing and using the platform understand what the relationships are, and we do as little work as possible to then end up with an implementation that reflects the formal specification that we've used to create that with. So the first project that we at S23M are planning to contribute into the ANZIL lab is that we want to populate our CARE platform with international patient summaries that come from other sources. And because we've been playing with OpenMRS and using some of the existing FHIR functionality that's already available inside the platform and is being used now to allow OpenMRS to become an interoperable medical record system that can be accessed by external partners with FHIR and its web services based access mechanisms. So we are busy building a way of taking those models that you saw on the previous page and populating them with actual records that come out of an OpenMRS system. But of course, because it's standardized, we'll be able to, of course, fetch records from other electronic health record systems that offer international patient summaries. Where the CARE platform comes from is actually an interesting story, and it's another connection that we have with Asia. It's because the COMFAC Corporation in the Philippines, which is a well-respected software company now that's been around since 1985, they have a small and growing office in New Zealand who are using their platform, which has lots of reusable components which we build upon. And we have been set up a joint venture with them so that a lot of the functionality that we need is already available to us as reusable modules. And then we can add our own models as low-code data structures inside a software as a service platform. And the CARE platform is built on top of their platform called Aptus. So where you see S23M, we're talking about a small company of consultants and practitioners, but S23M Healthcare Solutions is a partnership with COMFAC and its New Zealand subsidiary CTO. And we rely on their long experience with providing reliable software as a service on the cloud to facilitate the CARE platform, and we can build on top of it using our own models and reuse all of the functions that they have in place already for managing a whole bunch of things. So we've actually configured 6 variations of the care platform already, but many of them are quite similar, and we can create new bespoke versions as required. So we've mentioned patient journey management. That's basically focused on managing and creating and managing patient care plans and having interchange between organizations of information about the patient, and also allowing web portals to support the patient themselves accessing their own information, as well as their carers and their family and community where permitted. And then there's another several set of configurations that we've got that use the built-in functionality of the platform, which has in the past been used for aged care facility management. It's been used for workforce management. It's been used for facilities configuration. So there's a lot of modules that are configurable that we rely on, and the care facility management variation of the product is focused on managing staff and facilities and doing scheduling and maintaining. So for facilities management in both the practical and financial matters, there is capabilities built in that allow us to offer these things to health-specific organizations. And then we also have more human-centered configurations that are about sharing information between care teams and facilitating documents to be exchanged between both clinicians and non-clinicians. And we hope we basically, as I say in the bullet point up there, we know that the medical record software and electronic health records software space is pretty crowded. There's a lot of good products out there. There's a lot of people who are implementing standards and allowing their records to be shared using HL7 standards and other standards. And we, as we've said, are focusing on using FHIR. So we expect a lot of health records to be passed through, or having references to health records passed through our care platform to inform patients and their clinicians and their carers and care planners through a bunch of configurations of the care platform. So I don't think I'll talk any longer about the different configurations, but basically we work on configuration-based and model-based management rather than doing a lot of coding. So where we're at with our importing international patient summaries into the platform, the green parts here are completed. So we've basically got the International Patient Summary Implementation Guide and resource specifications modeled in the care platform so that we can import them. We've got a mapping between each FHIR element that would come in as a IPS record to the native types in the care platform, or where those types don't exist, we've created replicas, if you like, or representations of specific very carefully planned and very detailed FHIR elements, like things to do with coding of concepts in code systems, dosages and rates, and things to do with medications, which we would never want to invent from scratch because there's been so much clinician input put into validating HL7 standards. So we've got up to the point of implementing the models in the care platform, and now they are ready. We have done the next step really is to start taking records inside MRS and putting them into a composition which contains all the IPS, International Patient Summary resources that are mandated by the standard. and put them into a single data structure so that we can have a FHIR query onto the OpenMRS system that allows us to fetch an international patient summary. And we're looking forward to collaborating with the team, which we've already done a little bit of work with the FHIR implementers in the OpenMRS platform, help them validate some of their implementations and fix some documentation about them. And we've made some trial FHIR invocations on the platform to fetch certain FHIR resources that are already available. And we have started to look at how to take those resources and to unpack the incoming FHIR serializations and place them into the equivalent care platform models. And then we get some automated generated user interfaces from the care platform based on the structures that we create in there. But we will want to customize those so that the relevant parts of the international patient summary can be shown to relevant configurations and different user roles that are involved in helping patients manage their care, their healthcare services. Next step, Bjorn. Oh, okay, that's where, yeah, that's where we're at. And we, as Johanna said, we've got a lot of other partners who are offering other test infrastructures and demonstrators to show the benefits of interoperability. But now we want to please ask the other lab people that are in the meeting to please introduce themselves, because we've seen lists of names on websites, and we've read things available on the COIL website, but there's no substitute for personal communications. So I don't know if our host wants to nominate some people who might want to talk, or if someone wants to, if we move into Q&A mode, if we can have people introduce themselves and tell us what they're busy doing at the moment. That'd be great.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Sir Keith and Sir Jorn. So
Thank you.
now we have enabled the cameras and mics of our attendees. I believe there are members of labs from other countries here on the call.
Great.
So is there anyone who wants to share the experience as well?
It's not important that people have a lot to say, but we would just like to meet some people sort of face to face, as it were.
Yes.
And have them introduce themselves to us. That would be great.
Oh, we have Dr. Chaminda here. Hello, Dr. Chaminda.
Hello. I'm Dr. Chaminda Veerabhadra. I'm a medical qualified doctor. Now moved into health informatics. So currently I'm attached to the University of Southampton, UK, as a research fellow. But I'm originally from Sri Lanka. So we are having a couple of projects in the country. We have multiple electronic medical records, and we want to have a sort of a national summary electronic health record for all the citizens, and we are trying to use open source software as much as possible, and where there aren't any, we would like to develop some, and also probably promote them globally as global goods as well. So I think we are considering first of all having the FHIR profiling done for the country for a couple of use cases, and then to find out the other artifacts that we need to actually implement it in the country. So thank you so much. And I think interoperability, we don't have a COIL interoperability lab currently functioning in the country, but that is one thing that we are looking into and we are interested in. Thanks.
Thank you. That's great. We'll communicate more and see whether some of the resources that we have could be useful to you in doing that. And yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Walid. I'm from Tunisia. And I'm a partner of Izhar Mahjoub, who's also on the call. We're really glad to have attended this presentation. Thank you. Although I came in a little bit late, unfortunately. So what is interesting is that we're building exactly the same thing here in Tunisia. So yeah, so we started by establishing the Association for Interoperability here. And we're also using OpenMRS as well. So Fire, OpenMRS, OpenAir, etc. So we started this procedure like a couple of months ago. We started talking about it and seeing the importance of interoperability in the healthcare industry. We started talking about it long before building our project. And now we're in the process of creating the association and the company to start working on OpenMRS.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure we'll get
Very
to
nice.
collaborate then. It's a very,
I hope so. And
it's a very lively community in
I'm really
OpenMRS.
glad if you can also, I'd be glad if you can also share your email addresses, then we can send you, the status and where we're up to. If you've done something, maybe we can also collaborate duplicating the same models in Tunisia and New Zealand. So
Certainly.
it would be great.
That'd be great. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, sir. I think we also have Dr. Kiao.
Sorry, I'm normally called by my first name, so I actually it's pronounced Joe. But anyway, I'm from Myanmar. We are since the 1st February military coup. The whole health system is like right now in a wreck. But at the same time, it presents itself an opportunity as well. So we are working with the ethnic health organization. So mostly in the eastern border of Myanmar. So in those areas, there's little no like health systems, any sort of health system. So we are starting from a kind of like a blank piece of paper. It presents as a certain challenge, but it also presents us with a certain kind of like setting a stage right. So in that sense, we will be conducting a series of workshops next week, starting with actually what kind of data would you like to collect, how the M&E system would be involved, how the healthcare workers can collect the system, and at the same time, like the education system in Myanmar is pretty kind of like low, so we still need to build people, all of the healthcare professional at the grassroots level, from the ground up, essentially. So we are hoping that we are trying to find a lot more collaborators and trying to guide us how we can leapfrog. Essentially, people use leapfrog as nowadays, but the thing is that there are a lot of challenges in Myanmar right now, and we are trying our best to make sure that the data is secure, number one, because data security is also a big problem. Some of the clinics that I've worked with are literally bombed. So in that case, we still need to make sure that the data is secure. The data is, we need to build the trust. We need to make sure that it's actually a base for a new kind of like federal health system that we are imagining in the future. So I'm hoping that we can open a dialogue from here, and I'm hoping that I can learn a lot from all the people in the AeHIN network as well. Thanks for giving me the time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Doctor. I think we also have a message from Professor Chen Yesu. Professor, would you like to unmute your microphone?
Okay, yes, I'm very happy to join this meeting. I think probably it is my first time to join a meeting. I just post a message about, thank you for the presentation, it's wonderful. And we are doing this very similar system also. I just post a message about last year we have a publication. We built a blockchain-based PHR global sharing for the personal health record. The data content we use is also called international the IPS, International Patient Summary. It's wonderful. But the content we base is from Taiwan personal patient data architecture. We have a name called My Health Bank book, which is basically from the national health insurance. They release the patient's medical record for everyone to download. And well, of course, it contains all the diagnosis, prescription, and the laboratory data in there. And we also transfer the IPS to file-based. So very similar to your architecture. We are looking for the collaboration with you. Yes.
Fantastic.
And I just post this link to our publication in JMIR.
Thanks. We'll take a look.
Okay, great. And you can share your slide, right?
Yes, we'll share the slides, and the presentation will also be available to be replayed as well, I believe. But yeah, the slides will be made available by AeHIN, but if you don't get them, you can see in the chat our email addresses are there, and we'll happily send you a copy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. So is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves or the work that they're currently doing?
Hello?
Yes, hello,
Hello.
Dr.
Hello.
Bunsai.
Sorry, it's not convenient for me. I'm driving, but I listened throughout the presentation. Thank you very much, and welcome to the community. Professor Qian Yi is one of the active standard and interoperability lab in Taiwan. I am Bunchai from Thailand. I think on Sunday we just present the standard and interoperability labs in Thailand. We do similar things, and it's very interesting that the membership that the New Zealand create. I mean the creation of standard and interoperability lab in New Zealand has that membership with many stakeholders, and the member I mean sponsor the group. The group, which is I think that is very interesting things. For SIL Thailand, we have a different initiative. We just starting in 2019 because of the interest that between among the health IT professional in the university, in MOH, and in the also in the private sector, and we come together voluntarily and to form a group to study the standard and interoperability, specifically to learn how to implement the HL7 file in Thai healthcare context. And we already have several similar things in New Zealand, like New Zealand use the Australian medicine terminologies, which is in Thailand 10 years ago. We also developing the Thai medicine terminology following the Australian, and the New Zealand Universal Medical List website is one of that we are frequently visit to see how the medication coding system has been published and be used. So we already benefit from the works from New Zealand, and we hope that we can working together, and welcome to the AeHIN community of interoperability lab.
Thank you very much for talking to us anyway.
Is there anyone else who would like to share?
Yeah, yes, I would like to say something more. In Taiwan, if anyone were interested in our system, we are willing to share this on technology with others.
Yes, thank you, Professor Su. I think there are no more questions or mics that are turned on. So I guess we can wrap up the session here. So once again, thank you, Sir Kit and Sir Yorn, for sharing your experiences.
Thank you very much.
And of course, congratulations for launching your lab.
Thank you very much. And thank you for hosting.
We hope to hear from you again
Thanks so much.
soon. Yes, I think you have activities lined up for February and April.
Yeah.
Yes, so if you have other information you would like to share, please feel free to contact us so we can share it with our members.
Great. We'll do that.
All right. So thank you for making time for us tonight. And
thank you
have
very
a good
much.
night.
It's lovely to join the community. And yes, thanks for organizing, and thank you to Dr. Alvin and Dr. Bunchai, especially for being the leaders in this group, and others who have come before us. And it's great to join such a good community of experience. Thank you.
Yes, thanks everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Right.